Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Arrow. A very, very good season finale. All the season finales for everything, like all four DC shows, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash have all been really good, and Arrow is no exception. I mean, this is literally Oliver having to join up with people. Like, it's literally a team full of enemies. Surprisingly, it even includes Boomerang, which I thought that was kind of interesting. Because I thought the only person that was in that prison was Slade. Apparently not. Boomerang's there, too. There's probably other people, too. But just like, I wonder why him out of anyone specific. I guess, I don't know. That was just kind of interesting. But literally, that's a team full of villains he's got on his side. Which is like, I mean, we don't have much choice in the matter. It's just like, you take what you can. I mean, Nyssa and him have had their differences, they fought and stuff like that. There's technically still, because she even referred to him as husband when he met at the end of the last episode. She's like, a husband? It's like, I think that marriage thing still stands. I mean, it's not like they really care, but still, it's not like they act upon it. Obviously, Malcolm and Nyssa still on, odd terms and everything. He's like, you haven't really talked, I guess, like, I forgot what the whole conversation was. He was like, oh yeah, I'm so brokenhearted about the fact that, it sucks that we are going to have to talk and everything. That's just like the worst. She's like, I disbanded the League of Assassins. It was a good thing for me and you. It freed us, which Malcolm didn't like that because the fact of the matter is, for one, the League of Assassins serves a purpose, which, it was never something we really saw, like, what exactly the League does, but we always heard, like, oh, they kind of kept a balance in the world, and maybe we'll see ramifications for that, because we haven't really seen that come up yet. I mean, maybe we'll find out because the League of Assassins isn't around, maybe that's why Hive is such a thing. I mean, we saw what they were going to do, the Star City, so maybe that'll be something we kind of see in the future. Just kind of randomly throwing that out there since my mind is on it and everything, but, because, for one, those are two big things, like ramifications for the League of Assassins, plus, Hive. We still haven't really done much about them. Also, like, what's up with Helix, too, and their leader that we never got to see his face. So, it turns out I was wrong about that. I was so sure Helix was going to have some kind of connection to Adrian, whether they really realized it or not. But it's like, seems like they're their own thing, but definitely something we'll kind of have to keep an eye out in the future. But a really interesting thing is the fact is that, once again, I brought it up last episode, too. He's working with Slade. Even Slade brings it up. And even Boomerang brings it up. It's like, you're working with him? Did he kill your mom? And it's like, yeah. It's like the dude that you should hate so much. Just as much as you hate Adrian. Probably even more so. Like, Adrian's caused you some problems, but Adrian hasn't killed someone in your family. He's messed with your head and stuff like that, sure, but Slade's the only one. I mean, technically, it's something I never even thought about either, because I was like, right, because Malcolm actually killed your dad too, technically. I mean, your dad killed himself, but he put you, Sara, and your dad all in that situation because it's like him and the group he was working with, it's like the undertaking needs to take place, and they knew they couldn't trust, Robert anymore, so they were trying to take him out of the picture. So it's like working with two people that basically, at least in Malcolm's case, kind of took your mom away from you. And I'm sure that's one reason why Thea also hates him. Plus, it's just like, you're just a terrible person, especially everything you did during the whole situation working with Damien Dark and everything. The same guy that would kill my friend Laurel. And then the fact of the matter is put Oliver's son, my nephew, in danger. It's like, there's just so much stuff stacked on top of each other. Let's not forget, like, her boyfriend she was dating at the time, the guy that was Oliver's campaign assistant, like, he ended up dying because he was connected to all that. But nevertheless, enemies working together, which everyone was like, wait, what are you doing working with Slade? Felicity's like, yo, we got to talk about that. It's like, yeah, we'll talk about it, but later when everything's settled. Boomerang ended up being a traitor. It's like, well, okay. I was like, that sucks. I was like, oh, you're part of the team and everything. Because the last time we saw him, I completely forgot about it. But I think the last time we saw him was during that Suicide Squad mission that took place in Arrow that included him and Deadshot. I don't remember if that I'm pretty sure that happened because, like, I think he was caught on the Flash first and then he popped up. Or did he pop up on Arrow first? I don't remember. Nevertheless, maybe it was a crossover, the reason why I'm thinking, like, the Flash was involved. Either way, easily phenomenal action-packed episode. You got fights all over the place. Obviously, in the present and the past, you have Oliver getting free, killing Kovar and all his men. Kovar was like, yeah, I don't necessarily have to kill you. I just have to make sure you just don't get on the boat. Didn't work out for him because Oliver finished it this time. It's like, yeah, made sure he was dead. Was kind of suffocating, like strangling him, but then just like when I was waiting, just snapped his neck. Which kind of brings up the fact is, I kind of brought it up last episode, but I was like, I had him on. I was like, oh, maybe Adrian's working with Kovar. It's like, no, he apparently everything he's done. I mean, I'm sure he got help from Talia too, but basically everything that's happened, all the information he's gathered, he got on his own. But I'm sure like Talia's got a vast network of her own and everything. Which that ended up being a thing. Talia and Nyssa having to fight and everything. I mean, a very interesting conversation because Nyssa actually kind of hates her sister because she's like, you left me behind. Like, you know how father was. You knew his cruelty and everything, and yet you left me behind. And at the same time, you know, because Talia's like, I left because I knew I would never, like, dad would never pass the ring on to a woman. That was the whole reason why Oliver took over, even though it should have been Nyssa. But it's like Oliver took over because it's like, hey, the fact of the matter is, like, I need a male heir to take over. Like, Nyssa, you're not ready for this. So, but it's like, father, you know, that's why I'm always like debating because I can't really remember. Like, I think Nyssa had her problems, you know, with Oliver killing her dad, but at the same time, it's still like, I think she kind of forgave him to a certain extent because it's like, her dad wasn't that best of a person either. Like, I don't remember. I think she might have been completely okay with it. Because obviously, like, Oliver killed him in like the end of season 3, so I don't remember her confronting him before then. So, obviously she popped up in season 4, but I can't remember exactly what went down when they met. I don't know if they fought then or not. But Talia is looking at her sister's like, oh, you're such a disappointment. You're working with father's killer, which kind of shows you where she stands in all of this because it's like they're important people. I mean, her main reason for helping them is she calls them her friends and everything, but it's like because they were important to both Laura and Sara, which, you know, she loved Sara and obviously she cared very deeply for Laurel, so of course she's going to fight with them. And then when it was all said and done, which Nyssa kicked her sister's ass, sees all that you've done has amounted to nothing because your sister kicked your ass so easily. But she's like, go ahead, kill me. That's what father would want. And she knocks her out. You know, Nyssa ends up knocking her out. I guess it's a combination of like, hey, you're my sister, but also because you're telling me that's what dad would want, I'm definitely not going to do it now. It's like, you know, but I'd like to give it more as a situation of like, hey, you're my sister. There's no way I'm going to kill you. She also brought up something interesting, like, because Slade ends up, doesn't look like, you know, because it sounds like Nyssa doesn't like him or trust him. And I was like, I'm curious if that has to do with the whole Sara situation. I feel like, I don't think they've ever really had any interactions, obviously, but I think the main reason why she doesn't like him is because of, you know, Sara, quote unquote, died, at least to Oliver's knowledge. You know, because when she popped back up, he's like, whoa, you're alive? I thought you died on Leah and you. That's why I went ahead and told everyone you died, even though you were alive for a bit, but then you died, quote unquote, died again. And that's because of Slade, and I think that's why, like, Nyssa doesn't like him. But it was a very interesting episode, like, specifically, obviously, you see these changes, like, for the villains, too, like, in this particular case, like, you take Malcolm wanting to do whatever he can to protect Thea, but Thea's like, I'm not, you know, after everything you've done, you really expect to just come in my life and be my father? You're nothing to me, but the fact is, you know, she steps on the, landmine, but he like knocks her off of it and quote unquote sacrifices himself. Because to him, it's like, the fact of the matter is, ever since you were born, all I've ever wanted to do was protect you. Obviously, he's going about it the wrong ways, but obviously he tries his best to be the best person that he can be, you know. He's not, you know, even Felicity kind of says it best. He was not always the best. He was not the best father, but she kind of ends up bringing up as like, she knows what it means to have a bad guy for her dad, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, the fact of the matter is, he kind of showed even at the very end that he cared deeply about her. So that has to at the very least amount to something. Which is kind of you kind of argue with that a little bit, because you're like, yeah, Malcolm's kind of a good guy, but then it's like, granted, they don't know about all the time traveling stuff he did. I mean, granted, he doesn't remember all that stuff that went down in Legends of Tomorrow. So for him, it's like, it never happened, but it still happened. I'm sure, you know, if Sara ever gets back, she's going to have to tell those stories, which, I don't know. So, but even then, it's like he had the best of intentions, wanted to rewrite reality, get his wife, his son back, him and Thea, or, you know, Thea grew up as his, I think I vaguely remember it being like Thea kind of grew up as his daughter. So he basically had his entire family back. So he had the best of intentions, but still he kind of went about it the wrong way. Just kind of typical bad guy fashion. I doubt Boomerang died in the explosion, and I doubt Malcolm died either. I mean, you want him to die, but just because it's like, oh, like, hey, you made that ultimate sacrifice for your daughter, but at the same time, it's like, there's no way you're gonna die. Why? Because in a way, you're like a cockroach. You never go away. He's like one of like few of Oliver's main tier villains, like main antagonists that are still alive, and constantly pops up to be a nuisance and a problem in some shape or form. Slade being the other one, but granted, Slade hasn't. The last time Slade popped up was season 3 when Thea and Oliver were on the island. That's when Oliver told her the truth about her situation, about being used by Malcolm to kill Sara. But also mainly because I don't want John Barrowman to like leave. I want him to stay around. So that's kind of the main reason why. And also because I find Malcolm to be a very fascinating character. But getting back to switching the sides over to Slade, very interesting considering the fact is that Slade is like, he brings up a very interesting thing. He is not the same person that he was before. And he's like, the Muraku worked its way out of his system. Like, it took a while, but it finally worked its way kind of out of his system. So he's not as crazy as he was before. So at the very least, 2 years have passed because, like I said, he popped up in season 3. He's still trying to kill Oliver and everything. So it does seem like he's calmed down. He's like, I remember everything I've done. He's like, so you're going to help me find my son and everything, which we got introduced to his son in 2047 Grimm's Star City 2047, ignore me on that. Once again, it still brings up the fact is, I mean, granted, now that the future has changed because of the Flash and everything, I mean, who's to say what other events have changed as well? I mean, it's hard to say, like, you know, what's really still up in the air and not, and like where all that goes, like how, because that's already kind of out there, but it's like no future is 100% set in stone. There's multiple possibilities, so who's to say Arrow is going to be any different from that? But it's the fact is that he's willing to work with Oliver. Obviously, there's points where it's like, oh, you're betraying us. Like, oh, actually, you're not. You're actually full. Like, he's fully committed. It's because he brings up something to Oliver. Like, the fact is, Oliver's past is like, the fact is, kid, I've noticed, like, more so than anyone, your past is constantly coming back to haunt you. And he's like, ultimately, this all comes back to your dad. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, literally everything is tied to your dad. The fact is that you can't forgive yourself for the fact is that your dad died and you didn't. Like, it's survivor's guilt. Because everything Oliver has done, and has been present in the show, like, they made a point to bring it up, because, like, Oliver having to deal with the fact is that his dad, you know, it's like, my dad had problems before, like, my dad wasn't 100% innocent, but the fact of the matter is, took pride in the fact is he never killed anyone, but then found out that thing that he killed a guy by accident, sure, but he covered it up and everything, and it rocked the foundation of everything Oliver did. All of this started because of his dad. He wanted to carry on his dad's mission, and that became the foundation to everything he's done and everything he's built, all these people he surrounded himself with. And it's so interesting that basically it's like, Slade is like, you have to learn how to forgive yourself. That's the only way you can deal with the past and everything. Forgive yourself for the fact is that, you know, like, your dad sacrificing his life for you, that you shouldn't be like blaming yourself for that, you know, which he does. But getting right to it, like, obviously all the fights that break out between everybody, Dyna versus Laurel, obviously had a sonic scream battle, and then Laura's like almost like kind of spitting in her face, almost like, did you actually think you could replace me? It's like, why are you, like, part of me wonders, does she think she has a permanent place on this earth now? Is that kind of why she was working with Chase? Because before she made it seem like, oh yeah, she was doing this to help her quote unquote dad, but it's like, no, you're kind of in this for your own reasons. And then like Lance comes up and knocks her out, and Dinah's like, you didn't have to do it. He's like, yeah, I had multiple reasons to do this. Like, you're around here kind of besmirching my daughter's name. You got her face and everything, but you're not, you know, you're not our Laurel. You're not my Laurel. Just the fight is all over the place. And then when it gets down to it, like, there's the choice between Oliver and Adrian. Adrian's like egging him on, like, come on, kill me. But Oliver's like, no, I won't. And you can see, like, he's struggling because there's that instinct in him, like, I should kill you. I need to kill you, because if I don't, you're just going to be a constant problem. But the fact is, Oliver's like, I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. Plus, it's because it's what you want me to do to be who you say I am. It's like, that's not who I am. This is who I am. That's who I was. Kind of standing up and not falling back into, you know, it'd be easier just to kill him and prove him right. And it, you know, it takes great strength to kind of, like, after everything Chase has done and pushed him and put him through, he ends up bringing up the fact of the matter is, he's like, you can hate me forever for what I did to your dad and live with that, hold on to that, but I'm going to forgive myself for what happened, you know, with my dad. Like, you know, it's not my fault. You know, like I said, it's not his fault. His dad, like, the fact of the matter is, that just shows you how much his dad loved him. It is like, I want to give you the best chance possible, you know? So that he can't go around carrying his father's ghost with him all the time. It's like, always remember him and love him, but the fact of the matter is you don't have to carry on with that. You stop the undertaking, and you're not that person you were then anymore. Like, even the person we saw in the flashback, which I even appreciate the fact is that he dirtied himself up, put on the hood and everything, just to, like, even put on a wig and everything. I wasn't expecting that. But just to make it like, yep, I've been here this entire time. But it's like, that's not who I am anymore. This is who I am. You know, I'm the Green Arrow now. I'm the hero. Which it turned out, it's a good thing you didn't, because Chase had set the whole place to explode because it got explosives all over the place. And then it finally comes down to a final decision where, you know, the plane is messed up, so they can't get off the plane. Everyone that's there can't get off the island. And so Chase is like, okay, so what is going to come down to this, Oliver, is I have your son. Yes, I lied about him being dead before because I want you to push me to kill you, because for you to kill me, that way you end up inadvertently killing everyone that you care about, including yourself, probably. So now we have this choice. It's literally the Shadow and Sara decision all over again. You can either save your friends or you can save your son. Which one will it be? And Oliver chooses both and ends up shooting Adrian in the leg. Which then you had that moment where Adrian's like, okay, that's good, showing your son who you really are in the same spot that your dad, you know, showed you who he really is. Kind of like, you know, showed like what kind of man he is. The fact is that your father showed himself showed you he was a caring person. The fact is that he was willing to kill himself to make sure you survive. And the fact is that showing your son that, like, hey, you're willing to save him as well as your friend. Which, granted, William still doesn't know about the whole, like, Oliver being his dad thing. Which I'm guessing, considering the situation, like, he didn't really have time to process, like, holy crap, I was saved by the Green Arrow. I've met the Green Arrow before and didn't realize this was him. But nevertheless, okay, Chase is going to be arrested. I thought the season, hands down, was going to end on a very high, beautiful note. Obviously, there'd be some kind of big conclusion or something like, okay, team, let's get to work or something like that. Like them going off to kind of deal with a new, like, threat that's hitting the city. That's what I thought it was. It's like, no, it ends with Adrian killing himself. It's literally completing a full circle of, like, how this all started and ended in a sort of sense. Like, obviously, this all began with Oliver's dad killing himself and Oliver landing on, it's Leon you, but I always say Leon you. I'm sorry. Ugh. Oh, I speak so good, right? But now it's like Adrian kills himself to make sure that the island explodes, which Oliver had told the others to get to the other side of the island, which whether they did or not, I don't know. It's a freaking cliffhanger. Obviously, everyone's going to be okay, but let's not forget there's other people on this island, too. There's Earth 2 Laurel, there's Evelyn, which Oliver was like, we're going to go back, and I'm going to come back for you, no matter, even after everything you've done, even to the very bitter end, Evelyn, it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. Chase is going to kill you. It's like, there's going to be, like, pudding on your face. I don't know, pie on your face, I guess. I don't know what the proper phrasing would be. After, like, you know, they comes back, it's like, oh, you guys are actually still alive. Chase is dead. I guess, you know, bet on the wrong horse and everything, which is just like, it's sad because even to the very bitter end, Evelyn hates him for everything. And it's like, I thought somebody was going to have a conscience about this whole situation, about like a kid being involved in, you know, William, but it's like, apparently none of them cared. It's like, I don't care if your son's involved in all this. I don't know where he is. Even if I did, kind of like, it's like, wow, like, your hate for Oliver runs that deep. I guess that puts you and Adrian in the same boat. Kind of a little sad that Adrian is dead. Kind of thought that'd be kind of a situation like Slade. I mean, he went out of his way to make sure Adrian lived, but Adrian killed himself just to kind of one last middle finger to Oliver. So, I mean, Crate, like I said, was not expecting that type of thing where it's like, oh, this big cliffhanger where it's like all your friends and family are potentially in danger. Because obviously there's a lot of people on that island he needs to get off, but I doubt it's going to be... I don't know, we'll just kind of have to wait to see. I don't know if the show's being renewed for another season. I know, I say that all the time, but I really hope so, because obviously I love Arrow. I know what I said during the Supergirl finale. I was like, oh yeah, I love probably Supergirl and Flash the best, just because of superpowers and everything. But I also said, that's not me taking any away from Legends as well as Arrow, because I love them both too. It's like, you're all my favorites. I hate having to pick, like I said, but it's superpowers, but Arrow's badass too, you know, so it's so hard to pick. So I'm not trying to recant on what I said before, but it's just, I feel a little bad when I feel like I'm not showing Arrow enough love. It's just like, I love this show. It's so good. Like I brought up, it's what started this Arrowverse. So I'm really hoping it does get renewed for another season. I'm very interested to see where this goes because, like, this is all an end to that chapter in Oliver's life. Like, now we get to see the Green Arrow as he was kind of meant to be. Like, Oliver's putting his past behind him. It's like, what does this mean going forward? Like, there will be no more flashbacks because, like flashbacks have gone full circle. Like I said, there's always a possibility, kind of similar to maybe Once Upon a Time. Like, I kind of threw that out there. Like, maybe it'll kind of have a similar Lost vibe where it's like, maybe we'll see, like, it'll flash forward to the future or something like that, which they've dabbled with a little bit with the whole grave situation. So maybe something similar to that. How long will it be, like, in the next season? Will we kind of cut to, like, a little further on and down? I doubt they're going to be like, yo, that first episode back, if it gets renewed, it's going to be like, hey, we're going to save everyone. So I'm very interested to see what goes down, what kind of villains will be set up. Just how everything's going to go. I mean, especially, like, considering things between him and Felicity. She kissed him and everything because she's like, I wouldn't want, I already regret enough stuff between us. It's like, I don't want to add more to it. So, also, what does it mean going forward for Slade? Kind of putting the past behind you and everything. So, like I said, very, very good season finale. And so curious to see what would be something they possibly do in a season 6. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.